Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Sawney. I'm the head coach of the Saskatoon Blades of the WHL. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about offense in the scoring area. Um, the order of topics for today, first I'm going to define the scoring area and talk about why it's important. I want to talk a lot about body positioning, where you put yourself to find more offense and success in the scoring area. I'm going to then cover atypical deflections and the use of the net, push-offs, switching sides, and using behind the net. So I have seen this statistic in rinks. I found this on Google. The main part that is interesting is the 34% of goals coming from this part of the rink and the 21% coming from this part of the rink. So combined, 55% of goals are scored within about 20 feet of the net. I didn't do this study, but I did this one with two other coaches. The sample size for this study was 503 NHL goals. So statistically significant study. And as you can see, 59%, 59.5 actually of goals were scored from shots or deflections in this part of the rink. So again, statistically significant, and this is the scoring area. This is where most goals occur. So you should do everything you can to be high end in this part of the ice if you want to create offense. There's more goals scored in this part of the ice than all other areas combined. So that's the scoring area. Let's try and give you some ideas, hopefully some tips or hints so we can be even better in this part of the ice to create more offense. Heading to body positions, I'm going to talk about Holmstrom. I know all the guys from Edmonton will be screaming Ryan Smith. For me, Thomas Holmstrom is the best net front guy of all time. But yeah, Ryan Smith is really good too. We're going to get into crossing the goalie's eyes and taking away his vision, and then using the defender, your opponent, as a screen on the goalie. So heading into Thomas Holmstrom, what makes him so great, I would call this a classic screen tactic. What Holmstrom did so well, and what really a lot of other guys do really well, is their skates always straddle the line. If you drew a line from the puck to the center of the net, Holmstrom skates were always straddling that line with one skate on each side. And he was square, big and square, never turning to one side or the other. Oftentimes I find players spinning out of the way and getting off that straddle and waving their stick at the puck. I always say that, well, unless you're Harry Potter, you should put away the wand and get big and square. As the puck moves, you're adjusting that straddle. So if it's moving across the blue line, your skates should be adjusting, again, right from that line from the puck to the center of the net. I definitely prefer when a stick is held right in front of the player. If you hold it off to your side and the puck is coming to your other side, it's that much further for you to get your stick to that side to try and deflect it. So if your stick's right out in front of you, you just need to adjust slightly to this side or that side. You really want to make the goalie have to move. You want him to have to lean to one side of your body or the other. And that's what Holmstrom did so well, staying big and square in the middle of the net. He was always making goalies have to lean from side to side. And the other thing is, when a puck was coming at Holmstrom, he stayed square and faced that puck until it went past him. He didn't spin early and allow the goalie to have a sight of the puck. He stayed big and square, let the puck go past him or through him, and then he turned to find that puck and look for rebounds. So there's the middle of the net, and there's the puck. And as you can see, Holmstrom's skates are on both sides, straddling that line and adjusting as the puck moves. As the puck comes, big square right in the middle of that line on the straddle. Again, there's Holmstrom with his skates straddling that line. Kiprasov has to lean to the left. The other thing you'll notice is you can see Holmstrom's stick right there, but it's right as he adjusts. It's right as this puck is coming. It's right in the middle of his body. So if the puck comes to his left, he can deflect that way. And as the puck comes to his right, now it's an easy adjustment for him to move his stick. Instead of swinging it across his entire body, he just needs to move it slightly, and he's big and square. Kiprasov has to move from the left to the right, and Holmstrom gets the deflection on that one. From another angle, you can see the goalie's eyes. He has to lean. Holmstrom big and square right in the middle of the net, off to the backhand, and Holmstrom finds that deflection for the goal. So there's Holmstrom at the net front. Again, big square. And if you'll notice, Holmstrom does not spin early. He does not get out of the way or give any sort of sight line. He waits till that puck is past him, goes and finds the rebound after that puck is through him or past him. Big square, stick right in the middle. Again, being a real sore point for the goalie, having to make him move one way or the other. The other thing about this, and maybe you don't find a deflection, but if you stay big and square in front of the goalie, you'll note the goalie in this clip. Because the net front player is big and square at the net, this goalie can't see the puck. He thinks there's a shot coming, so he goes down, but it's a high tip play. And because of that net front presence, the goalie couldn't find the puck. So again, just another example. Big square, you're not off to the side, you're not waving at it with your wand, you're not Harry Potter, you're big and square at the net, find your deflection, and then again, battling for second puck, spinning after that puck is through you. And just a little drill. This is just a little skill drill, getting those concepts down. So you'll note the stick right in front of the player practicing this, big and square right in the middle of the net, deflecting and then spinning after that puck is through him. Of course, you can adjust this drill. You can turn it into shots into the air. You can take that other net that's on the ice out and add a goalie. There's all sorts of adjustments you can make. So that would be the classic net front screen. But what happens if you can't establish that screen? What happens if you're moving or you're not at the net? Well, crossing the goalie's eyes and making the goalie lose sight of the puck creates all sorts of goals. It really gives the goalie a hard time to control his rebounds. As we know, goalies always try and steer their rebounds into the corners. So that makes it really tough for him and creates all sorts of direct or indirect deflection opportunities. So just crossing the goalie's eyes in itself can create all sorts of offense. So as Kucherov gets the puck here, we're checking out the net front. And this net front player, instead of standing off to the side, afraid to get hit with the puck or whatever, he simply crosses the goalie's eyes. And you'll note Jimmy Howard right now, all goalies are taught this when the puck is on the flank. The goalie is taught to take the strong side post. So you can see Howard doing that right now. And as this player crosses the eyes, now Howard has to adjust and the puck comes and it's just a beautiful screen as he crosses the eyes. He doesn't establish a Holmstrom screen, but he crosses the goalie's eyes so the goalie loses sight of the puck. So kind of in slow motion, as he comes across, you just watch Jimmy Howard's head going from the strong side post to the weak side post, has to find that thing again, and by that time it's too late. From the World Championships this year, again, you can't establish the Holmstrom screen, so I'm just going to cross the goalie's eyes, take away his sight line so he loses the puck, and it creates all sorts of goals. Checking it out again, just crossing the goalie's eyes creates all sorts of offense if you can't get there and create that Holmstrom screen. It's just that split second loss of sight of the puck. Same thing as this puck's coming, the net front player doesn't just stop and having fear of the puck or getting hit with it. He continues his path across the goalie's eyes, so the goalie loses sight of it. He spins and opens up and looks for rebounds. So I really like this example as this thing comes, continue crossing the goalie's eyes so the goalie loses sight of the puck. Okay, so we can't establish a Holmstrom screen and we can't cross the goalie's eyes. So what are some things we can do to create offense if we can't get there? If you're getting boxed out and you can't cross the goalie's eyes, a potential plan or a solution for that is actually pushing the defender that's boxing you out into his own goalie's eyes. Of course, you want to do this without taking a penalty. You do this using your legs and low energy. You don't want to cross-check super hard to cause a penalty or whatever. You just want to slowly push him into his own goalie's eyes. So some examples of that. We're watching Saad right at the net front right now. As this puck's coming through, you'll note just on the lower back, he pushes that defender right into his own goalie's sight line. That creates a rebound and chaos at the net front. So check it out again in full motion. As the shot's coming, this slight push right into his own goalie's eyes creates all sorts of chaos and a rebound for eventually a goal. So now we're watching number 19 in white. He's getting boxed out at the net front. He can't get there, so what he does is just slowly push that defender right into his own goalie's sight line. And so now the goalie loses sight of the puck, doesn't know where it is, and eventually the goal. In full speed here, just using his low energy, using his legs without taking a penalty, just pushes that defender right into his own goalie's sight line. Some more examples of this. The Boston player at the net front holding that D at the net and then pushing off, spinning off, freeing up his stick. So there he is. There's what the goalie sees. Carey Price can't see much right now. The Boston player offensively, he's trying to get boxed out. It's actually an offensive box out. He's keeping that Montreal defender there. And as the puck comes, he spins off, frees up his stick looking for rebounds. Again, hold that defender there. Now he's screening his own goalie. Puck comes, push off, free up that stick. And you can see if there were any rebounds, he would have a wide open net. So very nice. Switching gears now, heading into atypical deflections. I think this is something that is fairly under practiced, not only on the rink, but at home. I think this is stuff you can practice at home fairly easily. And I know that I mentioned that Holmstrom would be the typical example of a deflection or a net front screen, but that's not how hockey is. Oftentimes you're moving, oftentimes you're skating, oftentimes the puck is coming from behind you, oftentimes you have to spin. A lot of that stuff you can practice even at home. I think you should be practicing deflections while crossing the goalie's eyes. I think practicing deflections at the side of the net, forehand, backhand, while spinning, just like Holmstrom, backhand, forehand, practicing different angles, whether it be high tip, flat angles. And then the last thing is losing fear of the puck. I'm going to give you some examples of how being afraid of the puck or not being afraid of the puck hitting you is really, really important. So just getting into an unbelievable net front player, or a player that's really good in the scoring area. This is how Crosby practices his deflections. You'll see single-handed, two-handed. This is backhand stuff. So this would be typical Holmstrom net front stuff. That's an NHL shot coming at Sidney Crosby, and this is funny for me. I see a lot of young players willing to go out and block shots on the defensive side, but offensively, when the puck's coming at them, they get out of the way and wave at it like Harry Potter waving the wand. As this thing's coming in at Sidney Crosby, there's no fear of it whatsoever. It just hits him in the shin pad. So again, this is some interesting stuff. Now, this is more of a face-off play, but this is just Crosby practicing an atypical deflection, something that's from a face-off, getting a high tip off to the side play from kind of the face-off dot area. This is one of the best ever practicing these atypical deflections. And why would you do that? It's so you can do it in games. So here's just some examples of Crosby making some of these deflections in the game for goals. Wayne Gretzky said when he described his own game, he said that people talk about stick handling or shooting or skating, but his game, him describing his own game, was all about angles and caroms. What you'll notice in these clips is that Crosby's making deflections. He's making them while moving, while crossing the goalie's eyes. This has nothing to do with shooting or passing. This is stuff, again, that you can practice at home, just kind of moving at a net or in front of your garage and someone flipping tennis balls at you or behind you, in front of you. This is stuff you can practice. And as you saw Crosby practicing this stuff, and then some of these goals that he scores is using these skills. So you're watching the net front right now. This is Crosby crossing the goalie's eyes and making a deflection on his backhand while moving. Now, that's a high skill play. That's a very high skill play, but it's practiced. And again, this is stuff that I think you can practice on the rink, on the ice, and also at home. So there it is again, checking out some more of these atypical deflections. Crosby off to the side of the net. This one takes courage if you're practicing it on the ice. You don't want it coming up in your face. But again, this is not your typical Holmstrom deflection, but this stuff is practiced. Heading into, we're watching at the net front right here. Again, an atypical deflection, but this is practiced. He's moving, it's on his backhand, a deflection while spinning and moving. Again, it's not typical, but this is absolutely practiced. This puck goes to the defender here. We're watching a Holmstrom established screen, and then we're watching here. This is the guy that actually gets the goal eventually, but we're going to see two parts of this. So player one, his stick off to the side. Well, it's an excellent Holmstrom screen, and he's taking away the goalie's eyes, staying big and square. If his stick was in front of him, he would have been able to get this puck. But because it's off to the side, his adjustment is just that much longer, and he misses the puck. Now, watching the second player that I mentioned, who actually scores the goal, as he's heading to the net, this puck comes behind him. On his forehand, he just gets a little stick on it, and he scores a goal. Again, this stuff is practiced. It's difficult, but you can work on this stuff all the time to increase your offense in the scoring area. And again, practicing in different angles on different planes while moving, forehand, backhand. This is a lateral movement on a backhand. Again, this stuff is practiced. It's a skill thing, and I think it will really help, hopefully really help you increase your offense in the scoring area. Switching gears again into a little bit of use of the net, push-offs, and some more tactical stuff. So using the net and your body as a screen, pushing off to create space, and pushing off for shooting positions. That we're mixing in some tactics, some things that you do with multiple players combined. Now, I believe that the net front is the most well-guarded area of the rink defensively. What you find, though, is that you can find all sorts of lanes to switch side to side and low to high. Now, speaking specifically for side to side, if you drew a line from the middle of the net to the blue line, whatever side the puck is on, you will find 3, oftentimes 4, and sometimes 5 defenders on that half of the ice. When you switch sides with the puck behind the net, you force those 5 defenders to find new positions on the other side of the rink. You do that, and you're going to create all sorts of chaos. So I'm watching Couture right now, giving Kane a lane behind the net. He's doing that by boxing out offensively this defender, and without taking penalties, creates a situation where the defender on the puck has to filter in behind Kane. Now, this is really difficult defensively because this defender now has to work with the nearest defender as to, are we going to switch? Do I pick him up on the other post? Or are you staying with your guy and I stay with Couture? Oftentimes defensively, coaches will tell the nearest defender, if you're within a stick length, you stay on him. But that is kind of a gray area defensively that causes all sorts of chaos. So Couture doesn't interfere with this defensive player. He doesn't hit him or take a penalty, but he's giving Kane that much space to create this chaos between these two defenders. Eventually, Couture scores the goal. Take a look again as Kane heads behind the net. Couture is just forcing this defender to filter in behind Kane, creating a gray area defensively between this defender and this defender as to who's going to pick up who and where. And that chaos creates offense. So I'm watching Brad Marchand again. He's giving himself a lane behind the net to continue the offense. Like I mentioned, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 New York Islanders defenders on this side of the rink. So where's all the space? It's over here. Well, how do we get it over there? Behind the net. So Marchand is going to use his body to create some space for himself to switch sides and continue the offense. So that is using behind the net as an escape lane. Watching the offensive player here, again, using his body without taking penalties for his teammate to use behind the net, force the defenders to switch sides and create chaos. As you can see, the defensive team, again, this is the difficulty of switching sides of the rink, who's got who. In this particular case, 2 defensive players go to 1, and the player that was using his body to give that lane to his teammate now is wide open at the net front, and we've created time and space. Just a little drill that the Oilers have done for this exact example. All it is setting up 2 guys. The first offensive player, so we're watching McDavid here, the first offensive player is going to receive this puck. He's using his body offensively to maybe potentially use behind the net and using the net as a screen. The other offensive player as well tactically is just using his body in the scoring area to hopefully give his teammate some time and space. And offensively, that's what you want. You want time and space. So just continuing with this drill, you can see one offensive player at the net using his body, potentially head behind the net, or make any offensive choice he wants, really. But because of his body positioning, I recommend using behind the net. You'll create all sorts of time and space. Heading into pushing off for offensive spacing, and I know this is a face-off play, but I'm watching Austin Matthews right now. There's a defender on him, and with timing and hockey sense, Matthews pushes off and gives himself that split second of space so he can get a shot off. Take a look again. Timing, pushing off, and creating space. Now, you might be saying, well, that's Austin Matthews. That's a set play. But I believe you can do that in all facets of the game offensively. As I'm watching at the net front here, we have a player trying to establish a screen. He's all tied up, but he knows that if I can push off and create that little bit of space, I'm giving myself a one-timer position to maybe get a quick shot off. Again, watching the net front, Beauvillier pushing off, creating that space with timing on his one-timer side. Watching Riley Gunther at the net front here, same thing, establishing a screen, and as this puck goes low, pushes off, and for that split second, he's created that space. As we continue with Riley, the whole time, he's created that space, but his stick is on the ice, ready for any sorts of rebounds at the net front. Well, hopefully that gave you a couple ideas, a couple hints, a couple tips of how to improve your offense in the scoring area. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your day.